Good evening and welcome to tonight's Facebook Live on handling the unexpected. And the unexpected's happening even now. We've had weeks of drought, and today, for the first time for weeks, we've had little bits of rain, and it's just started again. So there's the unexpected, and I have no problem handling this one. Hi Cynthia, nice that you could join us. So what gave rise to this is the fact that 2 weeks ago I flew to Tasmania. The idea was I was going to take a week and I would spend some time writing and catching up on work, different bits and pieces that I wanted to do. The whole week was planned. Hi Maria, hi Sonia. And the first thing that happened is that when I arrived in Launceston, my suitcase didn't join me. It wasn't too bad. I knew I'd get it. It wasn't as though I was at the far ends of the world. It just meant I had to rethink in the moment. Okay, fair enough. No big deal. They'll bring it to the place that I was staying. All would be well. And in fact, all was well. It arrived at 8:30 that night. So I didn't even have to have a night without it. I purchased a data SIM card because I wanted to use a program on the computer that would enable me to type. Hi Caroline, hi Elaine, hi Glynis. Except that the SIM card that I purchased wouldn't connect. And where I was staying wasn't a hotel. So I didn't have the resources that a hotel would offer. Already the plan was beginning to unravel. Not really understanding the impact, I thought I'd use my phone as a personal hotspot, which meant that I promptly ran out of the data that would have enabled me to maintain communication consistently. So you could say that all in all, what I expected and what transpired were two different things. Initially, as with most of us, I kept pushing to try to get it to work. And what I did was I sat, first of all, and did some breathing, looked at, had I got the SIM card in the wrong way? Was there something else that I could have, should have, ought to have done? The sort of things that we all do. And finally, I thought I'd meditate. I couldn't connect. So that for me was big. Usually when I can't connect in meditation, then I know that there's something significant happening. And at that point I stopped trying to make it happen and said, okay, I'm here, I'm going to enjoy the scenery, I'll enjoy what's available, and we'll see where it takes us. Tony was in New Zealand, so he couldn't come to the rescue on any level. And obviously he had his own issues happening, so it was interesting. It was interesting to say the least. What I did do was, I took time out first of all to just sit and breathe and relax. Hi Karen, hi Eri, hi Sharon. Not easy when you know that there are things that you want to get on with, but you also know it's not going to happen. So after a little bit of heavy breathing, it became gentle breathing, and then everything settled down. I couldn't meditate, which would have been my second choice. So what I did was I sat and I used the exercise we use to anchor to the grid. Instead of putting energy into the grid, I simply sat and connected to the grid itself. I can't read all of what you're saying, Cynthia, because I can't see the see more. I've still not worked out how to do that. Yes, we have to allow what's presented, and maybe it's not what we're expecting or asked for. But the point is, when it is unexpected, it does tend to throw us. If I'd been out in the middle of nowhere, I could have understood it perhaps a little bit more, but I wasn't. I was in Tasmania, for goodness sake. So, anyway. Connecting to the grid was good. It gave me space to be. It gave me the opportunity to say, very well, this is obviously not a time of action. It's a time of being. And what it also gave me was a really beautiful gift. The lady who lives next door to where I was staying and to whom I was introduced is a watercolour artist in Australia. And she offered to give me a lesson. I thought, this would be great, an hour learning how to do watercolours, which is something I've always wanted to do. 4 hours we were together. It was absolutely amazing. Didn't fix anything, it didn't change anything, but what it gave me was a space to be. And really, when we're faced with the unexpected, the only way to handle it is to allow ourselves to be within it until such time a spirit can show us why we're there and what it's all about. Tony arrived a few days later. Nothing changed. I still couldn't access the internet. I still couldn't get my computer to do anything that I wanted it to do. And John told me a long time ago that if I have issues with the computer, it's about thought forms. It's about my thought forms. It's about thought forms around me. It's about the energy shifting and changing and perhaps looking at things from a different perspective. So instead of trying to make the computer work, Tony and I went on a day trip sailing around Wineglass Bay and looking at dolphins and seals and the wonderful bird life. It was a fantastic day and a second gift. So what do we do when the unexpected happens? And it will this year, because this year we have a major conjunction with Saturn and Pluto. And Uranus, which is the planet of sudden changes and the unexpected, is dipping his toe in the water at the same time. The first thing is not to take it personally. And it's very hard not to take it personally when you have something that you want to do and you're trying really hard to get on with it and it's not working. But the moment we stop and think, very well, this is not flowing, let's just step back, we're able to step out of the frustration that's being created. We're able to just sit and be. And there's a lot of things that can happen while we're being. Sitting in that space and breathing, we can daydream. We can imagine if everything was well, how would it be? Or we could imagine how else we might use this time and this space that's been given to us. We might visualize how it could be going forward if what we thought was to be isn't to be. We can meditate, or in my case, access the grid, which is a meditation. It's just not the meditation that I would have normally done. It gives us an opportunity above all, when the unexpected happens, to stop and reflect, to step out of the tram lines that we're following, the destination we assume we're walking towards, to stop and ask, why? Why is this happening at this point in time? Not why me, because if it's happening to me, it's very significant and it's very relevant. So never why me, because why me makes us a victim. Why is it happening and why is it happening now? What is it showing? What's the purpose? There's a variety of reasons why something doesn't happen. It can be because we're blocking it. It can be because others are blocking us. It can be because the time isn't right. So there's no one answer. Therefore, it's about sitting back and reflecting on why and why now. Hi Nadine, hi Sharon. So you're also having the unexpected happening in Venice. It will, it's a time for it. If we take it personally, if we get angry or we get sad or we sit in it and feel sorry for ourselves, we miss what it's trying to show us. And when I was able to meditate 5 days later and I asked, why this, why now? I was told very clearly what was occurring and why. Understanding it probably takes away any possibility of guilt or blame, although I have to admit I didn't feel either. I was thoroughly enjoying eventually just sitting back and relaxing. But what it also did was, in the meditation, give me an understanding of what was happening in the energy and the significance of it, and also how to handle it. And I was told how to handle it in a way that if I hadn't meditated, I probably wouldn't have thought of. So sometimes, even if we can't meditate in the moment, if we're willing to wait to allow for a time for that to occur, it's amazing what comes to the surface and clarifies for us. And what did it for me even more was that after I'd done that meditation, as I sat to write in my journal, I saw through the act of writing, I saw the bigger picture even more clearly. It enabled me to learn something. It enabled me to recognize that even in the midst of the unexpected, where in this case the unexpected wasn't particularly comfortable, there was a wonderful, two gifts actually. One was the gift with the watercolour and the other was the gift of the boat trip on the bay with fantastic Tasmanian oysters, I have to say. Tony does not share my passion for oysters. And then the final thing was, we were talking, Tony and I, about photography. And as we were leaving, we were asked, would we help this gentleman to go through the check-in because he was visually impaired. And we said, fine. So we shepherded him through the process, took him with us into the departure lounge, as you do. And as we got talking, he started to talk about the fact that he was having serious eye problems and it was really getting to him because it came out of nowhere. And it was particularly difficult for him because he's a photographer. And a photographer that can't see struggles. His solution, he talked it over with his wife, and his wife said, and he comes from the north of England, his wife said, go and visit family and friends in Australia. Take a month, get right out of the energy. Don't even think about it. Just take some time to be in a warmer climate for a start, and with different people. And that's what he did. He could have sat at home and felt sorry for himself. He certainly didn't look good. His eye particularly didn't look good. But not only did he travel to the other side of the world, he couldn't see where he was going because of the problem with his eye. Any glare blinded him. He was totally dependent on other people helping him. And he allowed that. He allowed himself to experience being at the mercy of other people, not knowing what was going to happen, and greeting each day with the perspective of, what's the adventure today going to be about? When the unexpected happens, the universe is knocking on the door, trying to get our attention. It's trying to show us that there is something we need to recognize or understand that may require us to consider things from a different perspective. But it also gives us a gift, whether that gift is in that situation or whether that gift is in addition to the situation. There's always a gift. When we take things personally, it's very hard to see that gift. I think this year is going to be a year where the unexpected is going to be very expected, where really not committing to a box situation, not holding tight to an outcome is going to be essential. Flexibility. Coronavirus is causing a lot of problems around the world, and there are varying degrees of acceptance and fear around it. The flu kills more people than the coronavirus, but we don't panic about that. It's happening for a reason, and it's happening now for us to look at perhaps how we handle ourselves in our day-to-day lives and how conscious and aware we are when we travel of our impact on the environment there and its impact on us. But there'll always be a gift in it. There'll always be a possibility. If any of you have any questions about it, if any of you have got an unexpected situation and you'd like to ask me a question now, or at least type the question now, I'm happy to answer it. But for me, the unexpected is the universe knocking on the door. How do you all feel about that? Do you see it that way, or do you fear it? Hi, Patricia. Hi, Sophia. Patricia's unexpected. This is a lady that Tony and I knew 30 years ago when we lived in New Zealand, and we've just unexpectedly reconnected. Life's wonderful if we don't tie ourselves down to a rigid way of being. Looks as though nobody's got any questions about it, so I'm just going to leave it at that point. But if you do have any questions, put them on the Facebook page, and I'll get back to it and I'll answer them. Apart from that, thank you very much for joining me tonight, and I hope you have a wonderfully unexpected time going forward. Talk to you next month. Bye for now.